Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a reading for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, or if you have any other Capricorn placements, or if you're just feeling drawn to this reading for whatever reason. So Capricorn, there are a lot of messages coming in right away. So the first is that there are a lot of planets in retrograde at the moment. So Saturn, which is your ruling planet, is in retrograde. It has been for a while, and it will be moving out in like November or something. It's going to be going direct in sometime in November. Jupiter is about to go into retrograde this week. And then you also have like Uranus, Neptune are both in retrograde. Pluto is moving out of retrograde at the end of the week in your sign. So I feel like there is some relief to be had for you there, Capricorn, because I feel like that Pluto retrograde in Capricorn was showing you areas where there may have been sort of things or structures or patterns perhaps that needed to go through a transformation with the Pluto energy. And so that might have been a difficult or uncomfortable time frame for you, but I do feel that there is some relief coming in that regard, where I feel like things are going to be a bit more stable upcoming. So if you're not there yet, it is coming. I feel like there's also something here about like Saturn being in retrograde, because again, Saturn is Capricorn's ruling planet. And so that being in retrograde for as long as it has been, which I feel like was in summer, like starting in the summer, has perhaps been a bit like, it was coming through as being like your center of gravity has shifted. Because Saturn is this planet that sort of maintains the center of gravity of like our solar system, right? It's sort of like the anchor is kind of how it comes through, like the anchor. So there's something about like a feeling of like your center of gravity has shifted, or is going through some sort of transition that might have been uncomfortable. So that was the energy that's coming through for you. And there's a metaphor that was coming in to sort of help explain this. So bear with me for a moment. There's a bit of explaining. There's this study. I don't remember the authors of the study or like where it was done or like the title. Of course, I don't remember it. But the general idea of the study is that it's sort of coming through as being like imagine, because they do sort of like, it's an experiment on reward, basically on reward and how that affects our brain. So like conditioning and things like that. So imagine you have two buttons on either side of you. So a left and a right button, and you're given a choice. Okay, one of the two buttons has a reward. If you press or if you pick the right button, you'll get a reward. So you pick the right one and there's a reward. So you take that treat or whatever. And you basically do this over and over again. So the next time you pick again, one of the two buttons has a reward, pick a button. And maybe you pick the left one and there's no reward. That kind of thing. So it just repeats, and you do a lot of trials like that. But what the person doesn't know, if you're the person doing the experiment, what the person doesn't know is that there's actually like the percentage of which button has the reward is not 50-50. It's not a 50-50% chance. It's like a 60 and 40% chance, for example, or 70 and 30% chance, where one button is more likely to have a reward than the other. And so for humans, when humans are doing this test, we like our brains have this function of like trying to beat chance, right? Which is interesting. But if they do this same task with a monkey, for example, with a monkey, they don't have that sort of like logical thinking mind that human beings have. They are actually much better at this task when the odds are shifted like that, when it's like 70-30, right? Because they can quickly figure out, okay, 70% of the time, the button on the right gets me a treat. And so they will pick the right side of the right button more often than human beings will. Like, human beings will try and figure out which button it's going to be, even though logically on the sort of mathematical end, 70% of the time the right button's going to have a reward. So it's kind of like the whole point of the story is that there's something about like trying to outthink the odds for you, Capricorn, that I feel like is presenting a challenge for you, actually, which is interesting because there is this energy here of like a monkey, like a monkey as a sort of like a spirit animal or guide coming through, as sort of like not trying to outsmart something or outthink something. It's more of an energy of like work smarter, not harder, because I feel like there's something about like it feels like your mental space is like trying to overthink something when it's actually much simpler, is how it's coming through. Okay, so that's one message. Another message is coming through as being like, I actually feel like if we stick with that example, the metaphor of this sort of game where there's two buttons and one button will give you the prize, I feel like on some level you have mastered that aspect, right? You figured out that like how to work smarter, not harder. But there's also something about the game, or the rules are changing, was the message that was coming through here. The rules of the game are changing. The odds are now shifting, or something about the reward is changing. Because it's like, say you always pick like the right button and you get like a banana treat. But all of a sudden, I feel like this is part of the change that you're going through, is that all of a sudden when you now pick this button, instead of a banana, it's like an apple or something. Still a reward, but maybe not your favorite reward. That kind of thing is happening where it's like there's something shifting about the reward, whatever that means for you, where it's different than what you're used to perhaps, or what your favorite type of reward is, that kind of thing. That's shifting. But what was coming through is that there's actually like somebody else, another person doing the same task, and they're getting bananas. They're getting the reward that is your favorite type of reward to receive. And perhaps they want apples. So maybe there's an opportunity for like a trade or a cooperation that happens through that. Because I actually feel like if you are experiencing a change like that, where it's like something that was very reliable for you is no longer providing the reward that you are used to receiving, it's because there's another person who's getting that reward that you are meant to collaborate with, is how it's coming through. So I feel like there is sort of like a negotiation energy kind of happening between you and others. It could be many different people. And there's like a very significant energy here of like a paradigm shift was how it's coming through. Like the rules of the game are changing is the message that I was receiving for you, Capricorn. Yeah. But again, it's coming through as game, and with the monkey energy, which is very playful. So trying to have a bit of fun with it, Capricorn, because I know that it might be kind of uncomfortable at first. Like, or frustrating, I should say, like, because it's like in your mind, there could be this tendency of like, okay, I need to beat the odds, right? I'm going to try and figure out which button to press to get a banana. But it's almost like bananas are not an option, is how it's coming through. At least not in the game that you have been playing. You have to expand your playing field, is how it's coming through. So it's kind of feeling like that, which is interesting. Something is no longer an option, or it's no longer a reward in this version of what you have been doing. It's time to expand or to collaborate with others to get the thing that you need, is how it's coming through. Okay. It's such a long-winded answer. Okay, Yeah, okay. So you have water, ocean, moon. Fire, volcano, moon. And fire, ancestor fire, and moon. They're all moon cards, which is interesting. 21, 1, and 13. That's so interesting. Okay, so you have 13, which is the death energy, right? A transformation, a rebirth. You have the 1, which is a magician energy, the beginning of something. And you have 21, which is the world, completion. But the way that it's coming through is that you've completed something, right? Something has come to an end, is complete. The water, ocean, moon energy. You're in the magician energy right now. And there's a rebirth that's happening. Okay, I'm going to read all 3 of them because I don't know this deck very well. It is new. Okay, hold on. Something that's so something that's so annoying in this is that there's numbers on the cards, but in the guidebook they don't put numbers on the cards to show you which one, so you have to flip through and look for it. It is organized, but not in a way that makes sense to me. There should be numbers anyway. Okay, water, ocean, moon. There exists a deep well of knowledge within our emotions and our intuition, but there is no shortcut to these treasures. The only way to access this wisdom is to journey into the deepest depths of ourselves and to trust the subtle, sensitive truths that await us there. This knowledge is delicate. Sometimes it is only half-formed, molded of metaphor, image, symbol, and feeling. Trust the knowingness that exists inside of you. Dare to perceive what is hidden and can only be found through your intuition. Do not doubt this knowledge and do not doubt your ability to access it. Your confidence is the key to unlocking the secrets that lie within. So this is coming through very much with like a subconscious energy, right? Like you're working with subconscious energies. And there could be an aspect here about like, again, with that sort of like your center of gravity is shifting. Because it feels kind of like, again, the rules of your game, metaphorically, like how you've been living your life and all of that. Perhaps that was more sort of like focused on you as an individual. And perhaps there's sort of like it's shifting into like you as part of a collective, whatever that means to you. And it could be even like a small group of people or a new relationship or something like that, where it's like, obviously you can't operate the same way that you have been, is how it's coming through. Okay, so fire, moon, volcano. But okay, so but it's interesting here because it might be, there might be something about your subconscious energies that are, there's a discomfort around that, is how it's coming through. It's really highlighting relationships, like your relationship, perhaps like relationship dynamics are shifting or something like that. And you may be feeling that subconsciously with all of this sort of watery energy. All three of your cards are moon cards, which are interesting. Okay, I'm going to read the fire, volcano, moon. So that says, sometimes the fires that burn within us go awry and take on distortions. Your flames have shifted. Your inner fire has become destructive. If you do not tend to these fires immediately, the flames will consume you, along with all that you hold sacred, and burn everything you have worked so hard and so long to build to the ground. In order to see what has shifted and why, you must go within. You must sink deep within this place of discomfort, find the source of this distortion, and make peace with yourself before this inferno erupts and does irreparable harm. There is still time to time to shift. Be brave, child, and go within. That's a tough card. And I feel like this fire energy is coming through as being like a lot of discomfort, right? Like, which is, because it's interesting. You're an earth sign, right? But you have water and fire, which I feel like are the two energies right now that are actually the most potentially destructive to earth is how I'll phrase it, right? Like fire can burn, water can absolutely be destructive in that way as well. So I feel like both of these energies are, I feel like destructive's a very harsh word. It feels like right now there's a lot of change happening for you in perhaps the physical, or like what is very stable for you is how it's coming through. Perhaps your sense of stability is shifting into like something new. There's also this energy here because I feel like, especially with Saturn in retrograde, that might feel like the structures that you're used to that are very dependable are perhaps not dependable anymore, or that are like, it's that energy of like, you're not getting a banana, you're getting apples. And that might not be what you need, that, for example. But there's also something about, because I feel like for Capricorn energy, Mars is also a very reliable energy for you. Mars, like passion, moving forward, doing a lot of things, being very driven, right? That's a very like harmonious energy that goes with Capricorn. And right now Mars is in Cancer, which is your opposite. So I feel like there's this energy here of like what used to support you isn't supporting you in the same way that it was. And that sort of shift in support is kind of feeling like, again, a shift in your center of gravity. Like it's like you're like, there's a leaning kind of energy. Like you're, there's something there about like leaning. There's also something about, I'm going to read this last card, the Ancestor Fire, which is something about, well, like this, maybe like, perhaps like relationships that you lean on is how it's coming through. Relationships that you lean on normally, perhaps are not available to you in the same way that they normally are, is how it's coming through. So it could be something like that. Like, and it doesn't have to necessarily be relationships to other people. It could be like your relationship to work, or your relationship to home, or your relationship to, I don't know, time is what's coming through. Time. that's no longer reliable in that way, is how it's feeling to me. Because both of these, the ocean and volcano, both feel very changing, fluid. Okay, I'm gonna read fire, ancestor, fire, and moon. The ancestors are calling you, my child. The ancient elders speak in whispers through signs and symbols and dreams in nature. Their call can be as inconspicuous as a gentle breeze blowing across your shoulder, or as a song lyric that comes on when you start your car. All the ancestors ask of you is that you pay attention, heed their call, and respond. It is time to connect with your ancestors. Build a bridge that allows their presence to be felt and acknowledged. Create an altar for those in your bloodline who walked this earth before you. Make an offering, say a prayer, sing a song. The ancestors have wisdom to share with you. Your connection will create more ease in your life and more trust in your soul. Yeah. I really like that card because I feel like it's an energy from spirit, right? Which is interesting because it's coming through with fire, ancestor fire. There's a very strong connection to spirit that is supporting you. Because I feel like maybe your physical, the earthly kind of relationships are shifting is how it's feeling. But what is stable, what is there for you is this energy of the ancestor fire, which is really interesting. There's a lot of change happening for you, Capricorn. The rules are changing is how it's coming through. Like, you have to learn the new rules of what's happening. I also feel like there's something here about, like, if we're talking about that reward game, right? Like, you press a button, you get a reward. I feel like part of the next phase of this game, so to speak, is that it's almost like not only does it matter what you choose, but it also matters what the other people around you choose. And it's kind of coming through as being like the biggest reward, right, comes through when multiple people all choose the same button at the same time, is how it's coming through. So it's not only that it's like you and the other person gets a reward, right? So there's double the reward, but also that reward is doubled as well because you and the other both picked the right button at the same time, is how it's coming through. So it's kind of feeling like there's this like energy of like momentum that is being built between you and others, is how it's feeling. But there may be sort of like this learning curve energy of like trying to figure out what the pattern is, what the like odds are, like the 70-30 split, that kind of thing, trying to figure out what that new pattern is, because that depends on the other person as well, which is really interesting. But again, like, I feel like it has to do with like each person, however many people there are in this dynamic of yours, Capricorn, has to choose the right button for your own set of circumstances, your own console, for lack of a better word. Because it feels kind of like you have your own set of rules or odds or whatever, rewards. The other person has their own set of rewards and rules and all of that. And somehow making those two things work together in order to like double the rewards, for lack of a better word. This reading's so interesting. Okay. Capricorn. What is very stable for you right now? Because I feel like you're actually getting like new information from this energy, the ancestor fire, your connection to your guides and spirit. You may be receiving a lot of messages as well. Fire, candle, sun. Okay. You have so much fire in this reading. Because I feel like Capricorn, of course you're a cardinal earth sign, right? But I feel like there's a lot of fire in Capricorn as well. You're the most fiery of the earth signs. Okay, so fire, candle, sun says your authentic individual expression represents the spark of life within you. This life-giving energy inside of you isn't meant to just illuminate your own life, but the lives of many. The world needs you to be as much you as you can be. Believe in who you are, in your uniqueness and your goodness, and in all the wonderful ways you express, without needing validation from anyone but yourself. When we fill our own cups by acknowledging how wonderful we are, our light shines brighter and greater and farther and wider, beyond this one little dimension. One little third dimension. At the same time, allow yourself to be honored and appreciated by others for all that you are. You deserve it. There is this energy here of like appreciation, like showing appreciation. I feel like people are showing appreciation to you, Capricorn, of like how deserving you are of appreciation is how it's coming through. Of just being who you are. Because I there's also this energy here of like leadership and like how much you have done, perhaps like behind the scenes of something, or just like things that go generally unnoticed. Like it is appreciated is how it's coming through, Capricorn. It's appreciated. I feel like there's this energy of like shining really brightly. Because it's so interesting. This is coming through with a desert and a fish. Capricorn, it's coming through like this, like for you Capricorn, you have this energy of being able to find a fish in a desert is how it's coming through. You are the one sign that can find a fish in a desert. I don't know what that means for you, but I feel like that's how it's coming through. So maybe you just need a reminder of how strong you are, or like how resourceful you are is how it's coming through. There's an energy here of resourcefulness, or of like figuring out the rules is how it's feeling to me. Because Saturn is your ruling planet. There's a lot of energy here about like rules. And I'm not saying this as being like, oh, you have to follow the rules. But it's more like trying to find the pattern in the buttons, right? Because there is a pattern. It's like 70 to 30%. The right button's going to have a reward. And I feel like you are the person to figure out that there is a pattern, that you can now tell that to other people. Like it's kind of coming through like that. You're perhaps taking a leadership role in like figuring out what the pattern is, or like what needs to change, or like how to best reap the rewards from a set of circumstances that perhaps is there's an appearance of a lack. Because it's really interesting. I don't know if I mentioned this in the study. If you put like a monkey versus a human in that test, the monkeys will outperform the human, because humans are logical thinking minds. Like, okay, I can beat the odds. I can beat the odds. I'm going to pick the right one more times than I'm going to lose, right? Whereas monkeys just always pick the right one. The right button, I should say. They always pick the right button. It's almost like accounting for the loss. Like, yes, 30% of the time I'm not going to get a reward. But for human beings, when they try and beat the odds, try and think their way through chance, they end up losing more. It's like they only get the reward like 30% of the time when they try and it's like less than chance. It's something about like trying like with the odds, right? Like something about now I'm getting like Hunger Games, like the odds are ever in your favor. For you, Capricorn, they are, is how it's coming through. I feel like the odds are in your favor, usually, is how it's feeling to me. You can find the fish in the desert. But there's... Okay, anyways, I'm gonna pull more cards. That is what's supporting you in this time. I feel like this is something where it's like, you know your strength, you know that you're resourceful, you know that you can figure out the pattern. But right now, I feel like it's like you're working with a lot of new energies, perhaps like from spirit, like you're working with a lot of new energies, a lot of change, where it's like there's a lot of new rules is how it's coming through, because you're not only having to figure out yours, but also that of the others around you, because it feels like you are being put in a leadership position, Capricorn. In some area of your life. Not at all to discount the others, right? I feel like everyone is sort of figuring out their own stuff. But I feel like there's something about like your perspective that is showing you about you have a particular insight is how it's coming through about the game, quote unquote. Okay. There's something here about like support. I feel like you have been needing a lot of like needing some support in something, Capricorn, and I feel like that's arriving. Another moon card. Water, river, moon. So this is in addition to the water, ocean, moon. It's like more of that energy. Water, river, moon. I feel like there are a lot of insights coming through water, right? Like the subconscious. Perhaps your dreams as well may be illuminating some things for you. Okay. Nothing on this planet is static. Even though your eye might perceive certain things as stationary, I assure you that they are only illusions. Even a mountain or a skyscraper or a telephone pole is comprised at its most fundamental level of tiny subatomic particles that are constantly in motion. Energies, moods, and states of mind are no different. There are countless essences that move through you. Some essences are worth stepping into for a while others are best to let pass and be on their way. It is important for you to remember that energies come and go, and that holding on to anything creates stagnation and limitation in your life. Cling to nothing. We are born to move and to shift and to be free. This feeling you are feeling is but a moment. Soon enough, it too shall pass. It's really interesting. This is like a very interesting image. Maybe there's something in there for you that's drawing your attention. The river always leads to the ocean. So I feel like there's something here about like this energy, this ocean energy feels overwhelming. That energy feels overwhelming. Whatever that is for you, some sort of external, is it external? It feels internal, actually. It feels like an internal energy, perhaps like an emotional energy that feels overwhelming. Okay, so maybe there's an internal, emotional, subconscious energy that feels overwhelming, but that you have a path that is leading you there. It's feeling like being guided by synchronicity. And signs. There's so much like dreamy sort of like signs and symbols kind of energy coming through for you. But there's this feeling of like with this like the canyon. There's that one canyon in Las Vegas, not the Great Canyon, the Antelope Valley or something, whatever it's called. It kind of looks like this, but like has that really distinctive orange and red sort of like striping. Is that called Antelope's Valley or something like that? I don't know. Maybe that's some sort of symbol for you. But there's something about that place, whatever it's called, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, where like it's really dangerous to go in if there's any chance of rain at all, because the canyon can flood. It's kind of coming through with this energy of overwhelm, or like fear of overwhelm is how it's coming through. Like you don't want to go through this canyon if there's any chance at all of rain. Especially if this is what you're used to, right? Because this is sort of like this dry desert kind of energy, like, which is interesting though, because it's like, because this is kind of looking like there's a whirlpool full of fish right there, right? There's a whirlpool full of fish right there, but there's a fear of going into the canyon because of a chance of rain is how it's coming through. Like, it could be like sadness. There may be sort of an energy there of sadness, like, or, anyways, it kind of feels though like you're being led or guided to a particular place or an energy within yourself even, or like a state of being, an emotional state that you're being guided to, but perhaps you're avoiding it. Perhaps you don't want to go there. It feels kind of like, because what if it rains, right? Like, what if it rains? What if it's dangerous? What if there's something overwhelming about that place there? Like, it's kind of like, maybe you don't know how to swim, like that kind of thing. It's like a fear of like not knowing, perhaps, like a fear. It's not quite a fear of the unknown. It's a fear of like when you get there, you will have no idea what to do, is how it's going through. I feel like that's what's holding you back. It's like a fear of like not knowing what you're going to do when you get there, or not knowing, or feeling like you won't know what to do. Maybe you don't know what to do. That's fine too. I feel like that it's coming through as like maybe you don't know. Maybe you don't know what to do. But you're gonna be shown the way. It's just a matter of surrendering to the change, right? Like not holding on to things is how it's feeling. Okay, you have another fire card. It's just fire and water for you, Capricorn. That's so interesting. Okay. So it says fire, tribal fire, and star. And then you have land, mountain, and earth at the bottom of the deck, which I feel like is you. Oh, that's a really interesting one. Okay. I'm going to read the fire, tribal fire, star. Something about constellations is coming through with this, maybe as a symbol. Okay. Stories are the building blocks of society. Our mythologies create our culture, our mythologies shape our tribes, and our mythologies structure our families. If we find ourselves dissatisfied with our world as it is, then we have to get real about the materials we are using to create it. Remember that you are co-creating this reality structure with your every thought and your every word. Be mindful of the stories you are telling, and be sure that the narratives you are sharing are tales of triumph and tales of love, of peace, and of harmony, such that you are consciously building the reality you want to be living in. Yeah. It's a story about narratives. The narratives that you tell yourself, perhaps, or the narratives that you share with others. And those narratives end up creating your reality, is how it's coming through today. It's really emphasizing as well, like, narratives that you tell other people, that you share with other people, especially ones that will eventually be passed down to future generations, right? Like stories that are shared at a fire, for example, and that those are connected back to your ancestors, because there's this energy here. You have ancestor fire and tribal fire. This feeling of not necessarily family, but of course that's included in this, but of like collective energy, like generations of time. Okay, this feels so this feels like it feels like a big message, Capricorn. It feels like a really big message, but the way that it's coming through is like in Greek mythology, for example, right? There are certain stories where at the end of the story, at the end of the trial and tribulation, the hero of the story gets put, like, honored in the stars, right? That's how it's coming through today. And I know that that's such a big energy. Let's make it more grounded, is how it's coming through. Whatever trial and tribulation you are facing at the moment is part of your story that will, at the end of whatever this challenge or struggle is going to be something that is like, becomes part of your narrative, like something that you tell your children or your children's children, or if not that, then like people in general. It just becomes a part of your lore or your legacy, that kind of thing. It is kind of feeling like a hero's journey kind of moment for you, Capricorn. As well as like co-creating with the universe, with something, or with others. It's so interesting because this I'm seeing as being like the energy that's supporting you, right? That's very stable in your life. That's a sun card. The others, you have moon and star. It's all sort of like this energy of uncertainty is how it's feeling to me. But you have guidance. You have a lot of like, that's the thing though. I feel like the signs that you're used to are also changing. There's a lot of things about like your reliable navigation system is like the voice is changing is how it's coming through. Like, you know, in your GPS, how it has the voice that tells you turn left here, blah, blah, blah. But there's, it's almost like the voice of the navigation system has changed. It's something that feels different. It's still giving direction, but perhaps like in a way that's a bit more symbolic or mysterious or not, I don't want to say not reliable, but it's something that perhaps you're not trusting right away. Your navigation system is going through a transformation. What's at the center? Virgo got this card as well yesterday. I'm gonna read it again because I think it's worth it. This and you have land, tree, and moon coming out at the bottom of the deck. This is the only earth card you have so far. Land, animal, and sun. It's one thing to love animals and to scratch them behind their ears and to tell a chihuahua in someone's purse that you like its sweater vest. It's quite another thing to truly commune with animals. When was the last time you ran alongside a horse, feeling the joy and freedom it feels sprinting across the land? When was the last time you rolled around with a dog, not just looming over it while patting it on its head, but humbled yourself by bringing yourself to its level and playing with it the way that dogs actually like to play? When was the last time you sang along with the birds and harmonized with their melodies? The wisdom of the animals are profound and their messages run deep. Avail yourself to the medicine they carry through communion. Allow the animals to teach you through their ways and through their language. They are our guides here. Walk well with them. Okay, Capricorn, there's this energy here of like, when was the last time you played or had fun with something? Because I feel like there's something here about that the energy of the monkey is very much coming through for you, of playfulness, curiosity, joy, a little bit of silliness as well, perhaps. And something about the monkey with that story of the study, like working smarter, not harder, because maybe there's something in your life where you've been trying to solve a problem or trying to like outsmart the odds of a situation, whatever that means to you. But the monkey knows like it's kind of just like easier on yourself if you just always pick one option, the one that's going to give you the most rewards, even though it also includes some loss as well. The loss is, it's okay. It's something about loss where the way the cards are lining up are just so beautiful. Sorry. Something about loss where I feel like maybe there's something, Capricorn, where you're trying to avoid loss, right? I'm going to try and outsmart the odds to minimize the amount of loss that I go through or the loss that I experience. So I'm gonna think really hard and control my actions so that I can minimize the amount of loss. But what is coming through here is that loss is written into the equation. You cannot avoid it. You cannot avoid loss. And so the thing that is the most easy or on you perhaps is to account for it, right? Like to just pick the one that's going to give you 70% reward, accounting for the 30% loss is how it's going through. When instead, because the more you try and avoid loss by choosing consciously, it comes through as being like, it actually makes your odds worse. You actually only win 40% of the time. It's worse than chance. So it's also feeling just like, the more you try and avoid something, the worse it becomes for you. It actually makes that energy stronger when you try and avoid something. In this case, it's trying to get you to just like relax and play and do something that's really easy. It feels like do something that's really easy, that feels easy. There's no resistance to it. It's just like play, do something fun, be curious, be silly. Allow yourself to lose once in a while. That's gonna be a controversial message, to allow yourself to lose. But anyways, there's this I'm just gonna show you the cards because they're so beautiful. You have like this blue leading into the blue, this pink leading into the pink, because I feel like this fire volcano, this energy here of like the quote-unquote destruction, where it's like there's something that you're avoiding, but in avoiding that, it makes it worse, right? I'm going to leave it like that. And then here, this sort of like star energy, which is so beautiful. So Capricorn, I'm going to leave it there. If this reading resonated with you, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.